Let's get it. What's up, everybody? This is the host Jay for the Live Wire Sports Channel podcast. Got Todd Jones back with me. How you doing, bro?
Good man, good man. Good to be back on here. Yes, sir.
It's great to be back on here, considering my team is the reigning champs again. One more time, one time for the one time. It feels great
Uh
to.
huh.
uh, it, it was for the last few years. Being a fan of Golden State, um, it wasn't as bad. I think because we had so much to look forward to. Guys getting healthy. We were drafting well, getting good young talent. To develop and stuff like that. And so I think we were all just kind of anticipating the moment that we get healthy. We knew we could get back in the championship hunt. But to see Clay back, to see Jordan Poole's development, I was a Jordan Poole guy, but I know he was going to be that good. Um, I was hoping to see Juan Toscano get some more minutes in the championship games, but it all kind of worked out. He played a great role. I mean, everybody played a great role up until the end. Kevin Looney's growth this year was insane. And I mean, the most surprising one I think was Wiggins. Wiggins in his championship run was actually the second best player on the team. So to see how things kind of lined up, how everything went, I think this is probably the best championship, and just in terms of the team that they had to go through, the challenges of just health, like it was a lot that just didn't go our way. So for it to work out the way it did was just amazing. What was your perspective on the finals run and kind of what you saw throughout the year and how people kind of changed up towards the end?
when it comes to the finals, I expected Golden State to win in six. Only I saw Boston was going to win it if it would have been in seven. Um,
Hmm.
I I didn't expect Wiggins to definitely play at nearly a 20 and 10 average. That was definitely unexpected.
Yeah.
Jordan Poole, that going to the finals, that was definitely probably an eye opener for him. That's why he didn't perform to the high expectation that people think that he would have.
Hmm.
Um, I was actually more happy for Steph Curry for finally getting the Finals MVP because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous that was gonna make the announcement of who was gonna get the award. I thought they was gonna just randomly give it to Kevin Looney or something. And it was just gonna continue to have this narrative that Steph Curry can't get a Finals MVP. It was like now that he has it, he can finally lay that ideal to rest. And they're like, no, Steph Curry is like one of those guys, top 10 all time. Like he's in that conversation now.
I think
So
he's been there. I think that this was just the cherry on top to kind of where there might have been any questions. It's just no question now. I think he's, if you're saying top 10 all time, but amongst point guards, there's a lot of arguments that people can make for best point guard or second best or whatever. Now, I mean, he's all time great. Elite level talent.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reason why I said that you could officially say that he's top 10 is because people just kept constantly holding that. Oh, well, he never won Finals MVP. Kevin Durant got it. Iguodala got it. Blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, now he has it. So, what excuse are you gonna try to pull up now? Like they really can't now. Like it is what it is now. You have to give him his respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think context with so many of these awards now matters more than the award itself sometimes, because without the context, like for example, those MVPs, Kevin Durant got them, but in them same series, like at least one of them should have been a co MVP, particularly the second one he got. Steph Curry was almost averaging triple double in that final series with 30 points, over 50% shooting from the field. Like, I know he had the one bad game, and in that one bad game, Kevin Durant had what, one triple double, two for the
Yeah.
total for the season. I mean, for the series rather. I can get why people gave it to Kevin Durant, but it's kind of, I feel the same way about like the Kyrie Irving LeBron James thing. Like, yeah, LeBron was the most dominant player, but if Kyrie don't have two 30 point games and a huge 41 point game, whatever LeBron did didn't matter. He hit the biggest shot of the series. That's got to be, I don't understand why it has to be one or the other. Like, they rewarded Jay Kidd and Grant Hill for the one award. They gave them a thing. So why don't you just make that the case for finals? Two players can be great at the same time.
Yeah, like
No.
They haven't done it since. Like there have never been like a cold defense player year, MVP, nothing like that. It always just been like, well, we gotta go with one guy.
But I think it would make sense
I'm
to do it on the same team. It ain't like J Kidd and Grant Hill was on the same teams at that point. You talking about Dallas and the
right.
Pistons? Like what? Whoa,
Like that's literally like not even that's two different conferences.
right?
Like actually, I wouldn't even mind it how if the NBA took an idea from the NFL because the NFL they have like AFC Offensive Player of the Year, the NFC Defense Player of the Year. You can have an Eastern Conference Offensive and Defense Player of the Year, and vice versa. I think that'd be fair.
That all makes sense. I'm cool with the MVP being, one above all. But for those other ones, yeah, I think that it would give guys, more incentive. I think it would help with contracts, things like that. Um, but to stay on track with the finals, man, I personally was not crazy about Wiggins' talent. I mean, talent wise, we were all kind of disappointed because it seemed like he wasn't playing up to his potential in terms of his talent with the Timberwolves. But the year
Right.
that he had, and including last year, credit to Wiggins, but to that organization, you gotta just they really showed what Wiggins was capable of on both ends of the floor. I think he could shoot a little bit better going forward, but his defense, I mean, his rebounding in this series was insane. Like Wiggins was really hooping and giving Tatum. I mean, he was really amazing this series.
Yeah, I think the problem was that was in Minnesota that they was asking him to do so much, but yet he really never had necessarily the offensive like firepower to where he don't have to be the option every time. Like they said, like when he had Zach Levine, it was like, yeah, he had him for like what 1 or 2 seasons. So
Really,
never
the one
really
because he got
enough
hurt.
time. Yeah. So like he really didn't have a chance to do that. When he had to call Anthony Towns, okay, a guy that doesn't, create offense for other people. He's more of a big man stretch that can create his own shots. And Ricky Rubio was not like there consistently enough to help out with that. So he never really had a team tailor made to where he could, kind of, roam around and be like, okay, I'll be a defender and then I could be a scoring option if called upon. Where I could be like considered a third when on like the Minnesota Timberwolves, I was a second and sometimes considered a first.
It's crazy when you think about it, when you put it like that, because when you look at the talent on those Timberwolves teams, the areas of his strengths, it was always somebody right there that kind of was in the way of him, him showing that. He couldn't really get open on the break because they never really were up and down team. And then when you try to show off the balance in the half court, you got Cat who don't want to be in the paint but is always in the paint at the most inconvenient times.
Yeah.
Like so I think on this team, just like the Spurs or most great organizations, they just put you in winning situations. They put you on the spots where you can experience some success. They allow you to find your identity and don't pressure you. But I think this just ended up being the perfect situation for him to where he got time to develop and learn winning habits and play winning basketball. And I think that just makes such a huge difference because he was averaging good numbers with the Timberwolves. Like you look at his numbers, he wasn't a bust by any means. But by the eye test, you could look at him and see that he was not excelling in the ways that he should have been
He
excelling
should.
off the early.
Yeah.
Like for this to be his first All Star this year was crazy. But you did make a point before all that. Getting to the Wiggins point, you said something about Jordan Poole, and I found it interesting that a lot of people thought that he was going to have this crazy great final series. It's his first year. It's a lot to figure out. Um, it's his first year taking off like this too. So, I think his game will take an even bigger jump the next year. Normally, when you win, everybody on the roster just is able to elevate their game to a different level. So it's going to be interesting to see how his game transforms and everything like that. But people just, I mean, again, context. Like, of course, he's not getting big numbers. He wasn't even getting that many attempts off. If you look at it, outside of Steph Curry, they were guarding everybody else pretty tight.
Yeah.
which
Like
is
he was having a legit difficult time trying to create space and get open shots.
yeah, and I think part of it too is just again learning the balance of when to attack, and then you have Clay there. He's getting his shots up. Draymond was struggling, and the team goes really as far as Draymond goes. Steph Curry, you can't guard that. You can't really guard him or Clay, but in terms of everybody else, like I think that they all feed off of Draymond, maybe even more than Steph does. So I think, like
To
I
a certain
said, with them going forward, having defined their roles and you know them having that young core and the depth that they have, they're going to be a problem for some years to come. Everybody's looking at it like, oh, the championship window is only 2 3 years. Nah, man, you look at Wiggins, them, Poole, Looney. I mean, those guys are young. They're going to be a problem for a while.
and like speaking of young, well, that's what we call with James Wiseman.
Are you asking what's my opinion on it?
Yeah, you like young guys, that could, get better. And my thing is like, well, we haven't even seen James Wiseman, so like we have a small sample, but I was like when the team wasn't at full strength. We don't know what he's capable of yet because we don't even know how the extent of his injury or what's going on.
Which is why I think I like Wiseman, but we can't keep trying to run our teams this small. What I mean? You could kind of see the toll it was taking on Draymond this year, being small like that. Looney did an amazing job, but even after a while, you can see he started to slow down. Like, man, and if you notice, Wiggins eventually picked up on the rebounding and stuff like that because they weren't all the offensive rebounding Looney and stuff were doing. When they started throwing in Horford, Rob Williams, and Rob Williams not being healthy, gave us fits. I mean, he's going to be a problem going forward too. So I do want to show some love to that Boston roster in a little bit, but we got to get an extra center, even if it's not a center, just another big. It could be a big four. Um, I know a lot of these wings now can play up to a four spot, but if we can get just a solid, sturdy body in their front court, particularly at the 4 or 5 spot, that would make just a huge difference on the amount of rest and time that Draymond gets and Looney and stuff like that. Because you know how I feel about young guys being injured, to the extent that Wiseman has. Like Wiseman's had this issue in college, and this is what the second year in the league, and it's going into the third, and we haven't seen much of him play. When he's played, cool, he's been good, but it's starting to get to the point of concern.
Yeah,
No, it's past
yeah.
that.
I mean,
It's concerning.
because it's like, dude, you were supposed to be back by the time like Clay, Draymond was all back as well, and it's like, well, what's going on?
Yeah,
And if they're saying that, oh no, we're just trying to save him for what? What we saving? Like we haven't even seen him play yet, so I don't even know what we saving.
but that was the concerning thing is that he was playing, and they were saying good things about him. They definitely were saying good things about Clay, and Clay came back fine. You're talking about that was what February, May,
Yeah,
February, March when Clay came back. Why did Wiseman not make not one appearance? Why did he not practice again with the G League team? Like what was that about? Because he was on the bench during the games. He was never suited up. You never really got to see him running, shooting around, or anything. So it's like, what the heck is going on? Are they saving him as an asset to be moved, or like what was I'm wondering what the intent was behind that.
he was on the bench for every game. He
Yeah,
was behind the bench. I seen him. It was like, okay, like we just gonna sweep this under the rug? Like what's going on here? I don't know how you can sweep Wiseman under the rug. That's kind of hard to do.
yeah, man. 7 foot 260.
How you sweep that under the rug?
How you put that? That's a big rug right there, dude. Jesus.
It's a big rug, like bro, like you can still see somebody's clearly standing under that rug. Like what's going on
Yeah,
here?
man, doing his best Tristan Thompson impression, trying to hide out. But but going to the Boston roster now because you got to give props to Golden State. That was an amazing feat. But Boston were some champions this year to start off the way they did to trust that coach to figure it out, to trust that team to figure it out and make the adjustments that they did. They had an incredible run, and I don't think this is going to be the last time we see them in the finals anytime soon. If assuming they keep this team together. and he was injured, like on his shooting arm, the right shoulder.
Like, bro, he kept every time he would like bump me, he would go and like for the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically like every time. So I'm like, okay, like so we just gonna just ignore the nerve that this guy playing hurt, sore, whatnot, and he's playing on a heavy leg because he's never gotten to the finals before. They got into the conference finals. Got played like a 7 game series against like LeBron his rookie year, and then got like to at least six with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But he's never gotten past that hurdle. And as soon as he gets past a hurdle, he go against the Golden State Warriors, who's been to the finals how many times?
Six
A
times in the
lot.
last 8 years.
A lot. A lot. So they're already used to this. And they have nobody on the Boston Celtics roster that has been to the finals ever. So it's new to them. So it's an experience that they need to that they have to learn from. It is what it is. It happens. But when you hear like, yo, this guy can't shoot, well, like, bro, like the fact that they got there, they're like, it's like, okay, that they're gonna have to learn from this and they'll be better. That's what it is. They
Yeah,
gotta learn from it, so they'll be better.
yeah, yeah. I didn't care for how people were bragging on Tatum. Again, context. Like when has Tatum just been airballing jump shots like that? Like you could see he wasn't right. It's kind of like the same crap they were saying with like, oh, Kevin Love stuck Steph Curry. Remember how Steph messed up his leg against Pat Bev in the first round, came back against Portland, had that 17-point overtime, and they were like, oh, he's all good. But he played in the OKC series, he clearly wasn't fine. They figured that out, and then it started showing real bad again in the finals after the first 2 games. So I think context matters, man. They played some very physical teams on the way up there, and one of the reasons that I had them losing. I personally, I know you said you had Golden State in 6. I had Golden State in 7. My prediction was that they were both going to steal one on each other's home court, but I had it being Golden State was going to win Game 5 and then Game 7, but Boston was going to win Game 6. Like basically, they were going to protect home court, you know, as it going forward, and I had Golden State winning because of that. But thankfully, we were able to get it done in 6 against a tough team. But you gotta look at who they played. Milwaukee is a very brutal physical team. Miami, same thing. And Golden State, for if you're not experienced, I mean, you had those core guys there, but it's just a different beast. All the running off of screens is such a high IQ game, and people forget. But Golden State for years has been one of the best defensive teams. So nothing's coming easy, and they were hitting some incredible shots. So you have to give them credit. Um, I don't like that they were bragging on Tatum, but I don't like that they're not giving credit to Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown was incredible that whole series. Like he did his part, and he was banged up too.
Yeah. Like a lot of the guys was like sore, aching pains. Like, yeah, that's it wasn't just like, oh, like they just like not trying to play their hustle. Like, oh, they never been there before, and it showed. And I know it'll sound like, well, I would much rather have Kobe Bryant when he did that. Do y'all not remember when Kobe Bryant went against the Utah Jazz and was airballing shot after shot
Didn't have the legs.
and had legs? And he said, it was like, yo, like I had to work on my body. My body wasn't durable. It didn't last.
Yeah, I went from a high school
That's
schedule
exactly
to
what
a high.
that's exactly what the Boston Celtics went through. That was it. Because they every game that they faced to start off in the series for the most part, they started off strong, very strong,
Hmm.
but they couldn't finish. Their body just gave out. They got tired.
But you know what though, and I was telling Matt this, and this kind of goes back to my point of why I was also saying I had Golden State. Outside of being a fan, just looking at it, analytically, because I'm not stupid enough to say, yeah, Boston wasn't gonna win a game. That's crazy. If you watch basketball, you knew Boston was fully capable of getting one, and Golden State was fully capable of getting off of them. But
Absolutely.
people don't understand. If you're a two-way player, the amount of energy that takes, it doesn't take the same toll that it takes on most teams that it does on Golden State because those guys just run, run, run. Like in terms of being in the best shape, yeah, LeBron for sure. But Steph Curry's in every bit of great shape as anybody in the league. Dude can run all game. And he plays a good defense. Like I'm glad that this year he's not been a great one ball defender, but the nonsense of thinking, oh, he can't guard a Kyrie or a Dame or who can? Like you point me to
Right.
somebody who can lock them dudes up. Yeah, I show you a liar. But you know, I think playing all that defense and then to hit the tough shots that they were getting, you can't do that for 7 games unless your name is Michael Jordan or Kobe. Like it's not going there. So I think again, just the context of how much effort it takes to be chasing Steph Curry, trying to bump, be physical, and then they're so athletic. I know that they're young, but look at the path that they had to go through as well. It's just it's a lot on the body, and you could see the fatigue on them. You could definitely see the fatigue.
Yeah, I believe on ESPN, I think Richard Jefferson said I believe like Jason Tatum had like ran like 3 miles more than like anybody on like the Warriors
Yeah, I,
because of like the excruciating tiresome series that they was going through.
hmm and
So
good.
it takes a lot. It takes a lot off their body like that. Like I said, they're going against more physical teams, and then you go against a Warriors team that where it's constant movement. Everybody's is active. There's always some type of action going off the ball,
hmm
and that's something that you probably that they didn't see with the Bucks. They definitely didn't see that with the Nets, and they probably didn't see that with the Heat.
Yeah, it's a different beast.
Just constant off ball movement. It's a different animal, completely different animal.
Yeah, and something that something that I found interesting was that a lot of people were like, why are they daring Steph to listen? It's like it's like for example we was talking about when with Shaq and Charles was talking all that crap, and then they had those three baseball analysts come in. And they were like, "This is just a simple play. Golden State runs, and they couldn't stop it." And you saw Shaq try to block it, like, "Oh, like this is harder than I thought." Imagine planning for that, but you can't. You can't really plan for something until you see it all the time. And if you notice, they couldn't stop Steph. That's pretty telling that a defensive team was just like, well, we're gonna just try to see if he can beat us. Well, that's not a good strategy. You know he can do that, but you have to figure out the different adjustments, and they tried different adjustments. They really did. It just didn't work. Like you said, Tatum had to do all the extra running. Dude, if you've been being physical this whole time, and now you got a team getting well, we're gonna get into the complaints from Boston fans because that was something that really agitated me about the whole series. You know I am about this. I hate when physical teams complain about physicality. It's two defensive teams. What you guys think is gonna happen? You know, I felt like a lot of like Tatum and all this fell into that to the nonsense where it was just like they just instead of playing basketball, you're playing for the call and you're arguing with the refs. Y'all complaining about Draymond doing this, but the whole Celtics team is doing it. Like, what are we talking about?
And that's something that like they have to learn. Like I said, they've been to the finals before, so like you're a physical team, and it's gonna be a physical series. You know, you gotta be able to dish out what you take.
Yeah.
I mean, or like take what you dish out, rather.
hmm
Like you can't be physical, then somebody get physical. Like, hey yo, what you doing, bro? He can't do that. Like, bro, you've been doing that the entire series.
Hey, don't complain now.
Like,
Take it. Take what? It.
nah. Like, nah, ain't no time to be like upset and like yo complaining that like yo Draymond doing this, but then you doing basically the exact same thing.
Literally, that's smart to smart. You trying to get him thrown out. First and foremost, Draymond not getting thrown out. Can we address that? They did that one time, and we saw what happened when they did that. It cost them a whole championship. He not getting thrown out. Stop the nonsense. And now even people be like, Draymond talks crazy to all the rest. You do know that Carmelo Anthony and Paul George have far more technicals than Draymond does, right? But nobody says anything about it. If you look at the stuff that, and I'm not comparing the talent or anything like that, but let's keep it honest. The stuff that Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Kevin Garnett, the stuff they used to say to the refs. The nerve of a Boston fan of all people when y'all had KG. KG.
Yeah, yeah.
But y'all,
Or Larry Bird.
oh man.
But they don't want to get into all that, so it's not about them. It's not about them.
Boston has historically some of the worst fans. Period. And I don't mean that from a fan opinion type of thing. That's a fact. That goes back to Bill Russell days and beyond. Like
Yeah.
that's a thing. Boss Philly bad, but yeah, Boston is probably one of the top three worst fan bases. Period. It's crazy.
That's like y'all can't be getting on this. Like, bro, this is their first NBA Finals appearance. Like the fact that y'all think that like, oh, y'all not doing a good job on Steph Curry. You know, nobody has.
You can't guard him. You can't. Like, dude had one bad game because he was missing shots. Stop missing shots. It ain't got nothing to do with your defense. It really don't.
Understand this, okay? That was the first game that Steph Curry did not register a three pointer in 4 years.
What he do the next game?
Register a three pointer.
Multiple.
Like, come on.
But it's as fans, it's all part of the delusion. The trash talking is all part of the game. I just don't like the nonsense that comes with it sometimes, where it's just, oh, we want our team to win, so we'll discredit the other by all means. I heard a lot of Boston fans complaining and saying utter nonsense. Oh, so and so didn't foul, but I'm seeing y'all do the exact same things. Like, oh, Draymond flopped. You have Marcus Smart on your team. You don't get to say that. Are you
Bro,
serious?
like Reggie, not Reggie, Grant Williams was trying to do some of the same thing as well.
Grant Williams is corny, but I'm gonna say this: Draymond got to do better. That's Grant Williams. Why are you arguing with him? Like, you a whole champion. You proven out here. Why are you arguing with Grant Williams? What did he do in this whole series? You see what I'm saying? It's just like Draymond gotta. Pat Bev said it great. You're playing emotionally, not with emotion. There is a difference, and you can see that he stopped at the end of the series, but he rides that line so much at times that you kind of wonder, like, is it gonna come back to bite you? Like, again, like, is it gonna cost you? And
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, it's you need that, and it makes him great. But it's just like, bro, somebody put the leash back on this muff.
Like, it's like, bro, just play smart. Just play smart. Like Draymond, like outside of Game Five, was not effective. It was not effective.
Only game two and game five. Now game six, he was cool. He was cool game six.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry. Game it was Game Six. That's what I mean. It was Game Six.
Yeah, game two and game six. This is you can see. I think you can see a lot of fatigue on him. You see it on Looney.
Yeah.
Um, I think Clay struggled because he was still kind of forcing it a little bit. I didn't really look at that as a bad thing. He's still not fresh off an injury. I think by the time the next season starts, he'll be good to go. But
Yeah, you have a full season on his belt yet in 2 years.
yeah, like, but for him to still perform at the level he did, like, that's was still very impressive. He still played good defense, still showed heart. Um, but like I said, man, they did what they were supposed to. They were disrespected for the last few years. They did it the right way. They didn't settle for trying to do, oh, we got to get a bunch of veterans and try to win now. They didn't cheat the process. It's just like what the Spurs did. Yeah, we want to win, but we're going to develop our young talent. We're going to be patient and win it the right way. They showed that you can win with a mix of veteran talent and young guys. And I'm curious to see now with the steps going forward for some of these other franchises are going to be, because we know it's a copycat league. So I'm very curious to see what adjustments Boston's going to make in the offseason, if any. What adjustments Golden State and, any other competitive team, where teams looking to be competitive next year.
Right. I would say Boston is going to keep majority of their team the same.
Hmm.
I can definitely tell that they'll probably bring in another playmaker. That'll be a guard and probably another big. Outside of that, but I don't see like anything like being different because you got the finals, so it can work. It can work. This group of guys can work. It just need a little bit more fine tuning.
Yeah,
But
they
like
got to get
other teams that will, yeah, other teams that's going like, okay, we just need to do what they're doing. Get a lot of young guys and just shoot threes or whatnot. Like I can see that probably happen with Charlotte. I can see that.
yeah, team is missing a whole point, but yeah.
Yeah. They'll just
Yeah, I
They
mean we.
have and they always will.
Yeah, I mean we seen it with Dallas, right? Oh,
Yep.
you know, Lucas should be able to beat these guys going one on one, and we out shooting them because we haven't seen that from LeBron teams. We haven't seen that from Houston teams for 3 4 years. Just same old.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, go ahead, try to outshoot Steph, Clay, and now Jordan Poole. Go for it. Go for it.
And they know never tried that before.
Like it's like yeah, let's go ahead and try to beat him on Luca. If LeBron couldn't do it, you expect me to believe that Luca suddenly can just on the first go just hey get up out of here. Like
The first
beating
go.
beating up on Kawhi and them is one thing. It's very impressive, but when you got to guard and go against Steph and them, it's not the same thing. It's a totally
It's
different
different.
beast.
It's different.
So it's gonna be very interesting to see. Like obviously, Golden State doesn't need to make a bunch of adjustments, but it's gonna be curious to see it because the money will have to start coming out soon. I know they don't mind paying the luxury tax, but as for Boston, like you said, they don't really need to make too many changes. An extra playmaker
No.
for sure. I like Derek White for them. They need to focus on keeping him. Obviously, the core group just needs to stay. Like you said, an extra big, particularly
Yeah.
someone with some veteran experience that can play in the playoffs. And if they can get a veteran guard, that would be great. Golden State just needs to. They don't need to pick up not one more guard or wing. Y'all need to get. Don't get not one more. Get a big, not two. Just get you one. It just see how it helps the legs of the front court. you know.
Yeah. So since we talk about teams that are for what they need to do for the offseason, how they need to improve, something happened to one of my team, the Pistons, where they traded Jeremy Grant for a first round pick from the Milwaukee Bucks. So it
Yeah,
was
I
like
saw
a
that.
late first round pick because I don't see anything crazy happening to Giannis, so they'll most likely be a top three team in the East or top eight team in the NBA. I have
Yeah.
a problem with that for a multitude of reasons.
Please go off.
I understand they said from a financial standpoint that we have like made I think like could like erase like 56 million for like salary cap, so we created some room.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's all fine and good. That does not mean players are going to want to come here.
Yeah.
Because if there's nothing to come to, they're not coming here. You got to have something for players to come to. Just because you have money doesn't mean that somebody's going to come around.
This is true.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Especially like trading stuff. Like, bro, you're supposed to be building stuff. Now I understand we have the number fifth pick in the NBA draft.
Hmm.
I will be thoroughly upset if we just went ahead and drafted somebody else at Jeremy Grant's position.
I think that's
Because
what's gonna happen.
we'll be literally right back where we were with Jeremy Grant with somebody younger. And I'm like, couldn't we just add the guy and then kept both? How about that? That's not an idea.
I don't
Like we
know.
could just like keep him.
I don't know who y'all GM is, man, but I might want to start looking into some different options.
And then I talked to one of my friends. They said that well, we could potentially try to make a move for DeAndre Ayton and Bridges. And I'm like, that sounds good. But the thing is that you don't go from a team that won 16 plus to a team that has the fifth pick in the NBA draft.
I
That,
mean,
that's that's too much of a dramatic like okay like there's nothing here now this is your team you do it. That's too much pressure. We see players do that all the time where they might go for the money. It's like okay yeah I'll do that no problem whatnot. But then they have all this pressure and then they don't succeed. I've seen this happen multiple times
well,
because at the time they did this we paid Josh Smith a lot of money to go to Detroit. What happened when we had Josh Smith? Not a lot.
Right, but Josh Smith wasn't as young as he was, and he didn't have Joe Johnson there neither. You know, context. The,
Which exactly context. You proving my point. Josh Smith went from a situation where he didn't have to do as much to a team where it's like you're gonna be the focal point of like the face of the franchise.
as much he was the number one, number two guy on that Atlanta team.
Thank you. Because you still had Joe Johnson, you still had Jamal Crawford. I believe they had Jeff Teague, Mike Bibby for a stint of time. Like there was still other offensive options that he had. He would just need to be an athletic stretch forward.
This is true.
Yeah, I would say an athletic forward actually. Yeah.
I do think that that's a valid point, but with Aiton, you can't stay in Phoenix because they're not going to pay you. And then after the outing he had in this playoffs, wasn't a good look. So you're going to get lowballed. So you do have the option of, well, we know we're not going to win out west because we got completely exposed. Pat Bev has been telling the whole world how to attack us, high school, college, and all. Like you have to figure out something else. Now I'm sure there's some other competitive teams that want them, but because they're competitive, you're not going to get that same money. Now, if he wants the responsibility of being great and playing with young, great talent, then yeah, I think Detroit would be a great move. You can't like none of the contenders are gonna really be able to afford you for the money you want. So you might as well get the money you want and get the opportunity to develop your team. You're saying the expectations are gonna be high, but bro, let's keep it a stack. Ain't no expectations for Detroit. It's not. It's not. Same thing with the Wizards. I'm a DC guy, but it ain't happening.
No, no, it's the expectation like outside of Detroit. But when you sign for a certain amount of money, he was like, okay, well, if you're getting this, means that they're depending on you to help them become more of a playoff contender. It is what it is.
This is true. So wouldn't you think that Miami would be a better fit?
Yes, if he wants to not only compete but get like a decent amount of money, I think Miami would be a better option. They don't. Well, I mean, you could put Bam out of bio after four and be absolutely okay.
Yeah. Because
But
after
if you
this
have a
year,
Jimmy Butler playing power forward or PJ Tucker playing power forward, at some point it's not gonna work.
Jimmy did his part. I don't know about everybody else this year. Like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, they're not getting them contracts they were supposed to get because they've underperformed. But with Jimmy, like you said, to just for longevity purposes, it's not ideal to have him constantly trying to bang with Giannis, Tatum, and all them dudes. It's too much. They need an extra bit. The same issues we got, they basically need to have resolved.
Yes, yes. So like it's not ideal. Like that shouldn't be your starting five. That should be a five that you can use. But it shouldn't be your starting five.
Yes, Bam needs to be playing essentially the Draymond role. Like that's
In a way, yeah.
like he can do everything Draymond can do a little bit better, except for playmake. Like just put him down there and let him go to work. I think that this means though that the return of a big man is gonna have to start coming back. Um, you're gonna need more size and low post threats because everybody in the league can shoot and score now. Like you're gonna be guys that you're gonna need down there to take because some of these wings then got so big and strong. You need guys down there that can rim protect and not be Rudy Gobert where it's like oh you're only a rim runner or you're not that mobile. Like they're gonna need some guys down there. Like on most teams though, if you put Rudy Gobert out there, he'd be fine. Utah just didn't utilize him right, and I'm curious to see how they make adjustments this year because their roster's no longer gonna work. They've shown that, but
But you see, that's the thing. It's not just that. Oh, we just need the big men to come back. They're here. They're just different because they're playing. They have the ability of. They have more freedom
mm-hmm.
than what they did in the past, and there's a lot more movement off the ball than it has been in the past.
Yeah,
Like you don't see like in the 2000s Tim Duncan pushing the ball up the court. But in 2020, you see Jokic doing that.
well, Jokic was also a point guard. Like he was trained for that though. You see what I'm saying?
That's very true. That's very true because probably at an early age they taught him like, hey, work on the ball handling, work on your passing IQ, work on all that type of stuff because that could work in any position.
Mm-hmm.
And back in like the 2000s, 90s, even the 80s, it's like, no, you're 7'1", 7'2", 6'11", whatever. Get yourself on the block. The guard's gonna give you the ball, and everybody's gonna watch you make a move, and whatever you want to do is what we're gonna go off of.
Yeah.
Now you see more like backdoor cuts, back screens, push down screens, all types of stuff off the ball, and more open space and 3-point shots. It's a major difference. More spacing. So could you play in the post? Yeah, you could. But the issue is that like I've seen this a lot of times when like Giannis or with the MB is when they play the post, they don't have that same off ball movement.
This is true. That it is a noticeable change.
It's a clear difference. Like the offense is stagnant. Nobody's moving off the ball. Everything is just at a standstill. So now it's easier for the defense to just hone in on one person. It's like if we stop him, we stop their complete offense. We're good.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
so big men are coming back. They're just becoming more skilled, and that's scary.
this is true. But even with them being skilled, you see some of them because Bam is skilled. Yoga's is skilled, but what you do notice is they get their big butts down there in the paint too and take advantage of mismatches. Which is going back to that Boston Golden State series. I am so shocked with Boston. They were terrible at capitalizing on mismatch opportunities. The amount of times that Tatum had Steph on him and absolutely refused to post up was absurd. But you see that so often now where teams just refuse to take the 2 points and force up a bad three. It's like you said before, two is better than zero. Like, I don't know why guys just refuse to take the 2 points, but that's crazy. Like,
My at Central Michigan, women's basketball, she's retired. Coach Sue,
hmm
at like her practices, she'll say that she don't want to have any empties, no
hmm
empty offense possessions. Mean we need to leave with points. She didn't say leave with 3 points. Leave with points. I mean 1 point, 2 point, three. Leave with something.
right.
So when you see like a lot of teams, they just just constantly, or we see Boston shooting bad shot after bad shot. They haven't been necessarily taught of like use all aspects of the game to be effective.
Right.
Where you need to get to the free throw line, get some layups, dunks, and whatnot. Don't leave no stone unturned.
hmm
Like use everything you possibly can. Because you go after one thing, they'll hone in on it and they'll stop it. Means that they're going to force you to do something else.
Yep.
You got to have multiple options. If you don't have multiple options, you're going to eventually lose.
Yeah. And
It's
and
that simple.
and you can definitely see it with Boston. One thing I've been saying for the last few years is they are one of the worst talented teams that I've seen when it comes to getting their talent easy and open opportunities. They are one of the worst I've seen. They don't screen for each other. They don't get good shots. It's too many of their shots are difficult. And that's what I was saying. It's just to play that type of defense and y'all not getting no easy opportunities. Like if you look at Golden State, they always play at a high level because they're not forcing it. Like the amount of teams that force up ridiculous shots is crazy. And then you look at Golden State and people get mad, but it's like, look at how they're screening for each other. It's no wonder why Steph Curry is getting wide open or Clay. It don't make sense. But, you know, look at how easy the opportunities are for them. The backdoor cuts. Like, look at how many easy, like, look at the series. How many points in the paint more did Golden State have than Boston? And they were uncontested. Get the easy baskets. And a lot of teams just don't do that.
And to also to like to be honest, Golden State got that from Popovich Spurs with Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili.
Oh, absolutely.
Because just like the extra pass,
Yeah.
like always find the open man. Like whatever is available, take it. If they see open mid range shot, but they see somebody in the paint with the open layup, make the extra pass. Make the defense continue to work.
Yeah, don't bail them
Like
out.
shot, but somebody else is in the corner. And a corner 3-point shot is closer than the top of the key or a wing 3-point shot.
Yep.
Let's go with that.
If
And
any,
that's what Boston needs to work on.
if there's anything that Golden State needs to work on is the unselfishness. They are unselfish to a fault.
Yeah, that's because when you have the most unselfish superstar, it kind of rubs off on everybody.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, it makes for beautiful basketball. But even that, like people don't talk about. People complain about the refs this, the refs that. That ain't got nothing to do with y'all having 18 turnovers. Like Boston, in a lot of regards, did not play good basketball. For Golden State to be losing to be winning the turnover battle when that's the one weakness they got, that's absurd. Like yeah,
It's mainly, it's mainly because the shots that they're taking, it's all on one person. It's either like Jalen Brown or it's Jason Tatum. And once again, what I said was that if you're going with one person the whole time, he just can hone in on that one person. That one person's gonna get tired before 5 people as a unit get tired.
exactly.
That's what it is. That's why like with Dan Tony, his offense where you just go with one guy, it doesn't work. It just don't because it's too much. I gotta do that for 82 games, and I gotta win 4 times against the same team, doing the same thing I was doing in the season.
That's barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken.
Like that's too tiring for one person. Like you doing the same things over and over and over and over. Either get fouls or shoot threes. No, no, it's not gonna work. And also, for what I'm hearing as well during the off season, was that Mike D'Antoni could be potentially talking to the Charlotte Hornets.
I think he'd be a great fit for them. I mean, a young team like that, they can get up and down. Oh, he'd fit them great.
But we already knew that Charlotte was a solid offensive team to begin with. The issue, defense. And you're going for Mike D'Antoni.
But if you look at a lot of his teams, though, they're not bad defensively. Like,
Because he has defensive coordinators for that. It's not because of him.
no, you're right. But one thing, like I told you before, one thing we can't do is disrespect Tony about this. Most guys that have played under him have had career years. He has made a lot of guys a lot of money, and he gets the most out of their talent and potential. So, I know a lot of guys are not fond of D'Antoni, but all the stuff that we like now in terms of the up and down stuff, he's got a huge fingerprint on that for this generation of talent, at least.
That's very true. But in terms of winning and getting to the finals, he hasn't done that.
People say that.
You get your bag, but like, bro, the point is to get to the finals.
People say that, but again, look who is he matched up against in the finals? What, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you didn't beat Golden State. Is that who was on that Golden State team again? Wasn't nobody gonna beat that team. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then if you look at who did he lose to in Santa? When he was with the Suns. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't realize, yeah, he hasn't won a championship, but it's not by the standard of the system per se didn't work. The teams that he normally was losing to was winning the championship that year. That's pretty telling.
But it's very telling. But it's also because that team that he lost to uses more than one thing.
They use more than one thing. That's fair. Yeah, but it's not like they were getting destroyed or blown out of the water like it was no competition. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No. Which is that's also very true. But too much of something is a bad thing.
That is true.
And what D'Antoni, they like to play offense and they like to shoot a lot of threes. Good threes or not, it don't matter. Get the shot up. We want a lot of chances to shoot. And it's like, okay, but at some point you gotta be able to understand that that's not gonna be able to fit for every game. You gotta be able to adjust. You have to. You gotta have a different wrinkle into your game. You gotta be something different.
I think
Like, it's that simple.
I agree, but I think that there's a difference because of the personnel. For example, James Harden, great scorer, all time great, versatile talent. But I think there's a huge difference if Steph Curry or Dame Lillard is in that system versus James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Chris Paul was there. It worked out great. They weren't healthy, and then they got healthy, and it still didn't matter. You were playing against Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. You see what I'm saying? So I think just it's never really had the personal, the personnel rather. Like I don't think that they've had the right tools in terms of the key guy. I wouldn't look at Steve Nash and be like, "Oh yeah, you should be the key point guard to put this team over the top." You see what I'm saying? Now, if you said put AI there, oh, they're getting the championship. You see what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, dude really got one win off the Lakers, who swept everybody else. Put him on that D'Antoni team. They're getting the championship eventually.
Yeah, eventually, but I still think to me is that like you can't be all just one thing. Like you said yourself, like, oh, those going against the Golden State Warriors with KD, Play, and Draymond.
Hmm.
Cool, but if you think about it, like Houston was trying to play faster than Golden State,
They were trying to shoot more than Golden State. That's stupid.
trying to shoot more and play faster than Golden State. So what did Golden State do? Slow down, slow down. We'll play a little bit slower, isolated basketball. And they had the isolated basketball guy to do it, and Kevin Durant. And they had the proper spacing because they had Steph Play and Draymond.
Now that
So
that
they
strat-
completely a completely different look.
so that strategy I didn't think was smart. I get why he wanted to do it, but that wasn't a team to do it against. Let James and Chris Paul go, one on one basically. That sounds cool against most other teams. That's Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. You're not winning that matchup. You're not. That's not smart. But
But then Tony didn't know it. So he said he's just gonna keep stick to it.
but I get why he did it. I get why he did it because we've seen Kevin Durant do that, and just like this year, it doesn't work when Kevin tries it. And I think we got to have a conversation about is Kevin Durant really a better all time scorer than Steph Curry at this point? Because to be 7 feet tall, get the numbers he's getting, that's great. But Steph Curry 6'3", doing every bit of that with way more difficulty being schemed for every game. But we're gonna say that for the next episode. You got anything else you want to add in before we wrap this one up?
All in all, congrats to the Warriors. Very well deserved, hard earned championship victory. And definitely shout outs to Steph Curry for finally getting the finals MVP.
Yes,
That
sir.
nobody can deny him no longer that he's that guy, even though I knew that because he won MVP and then won the unanimous one to prove his first one.
Right.
So all in all, like I said, congratulations to the Golden State Warriors, and definitely shout out to the Boston Celtics for putting on an outstanding effort, and hopefully they learn from it.
Yeah, it was a hell of a series. Shout out to the Boston Celtics, the organizations, the fans, and all that. I think it was just a great year for basketball. Can't wait to potentially run it back next year and see what adjustments you guys make and what the organization, the Golden State organization makes as a whole.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on, bro. It was good, chopping it up, talking about it. Um,
absolutely.
we will have you back on soon, of course, with Matt as well. So you guys be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, y'all be safe. Have a good time. Enjoy your summer. Live Wire Sports. Getting back to y'all later, man. Y'all take care. Peace.